Okay, welcome back, GIS class. I have emailed you this Word document, and for those of you looking to do a final project, or if you're looking to find GIS data, I've been promising this for a little while, finally get around to going through some links for you. This is not just Montana specific data. The first three links I'm going to walk through are you can get data for all over the country, and ESRI actually has a lot of data for the entire world. So I'm just going to start with the Geospatial Data Gateway. This is the one that I use the most often for getting Montana data, but you can get data from all over the country in the Geospatial Data Gateway. All right. So all kinds of information available here, and a few other links to data. We'll take a look at the National Map Viewer, and I'm not going to go through all of this, but it certainly gives you a couple of other links for data. So you can start in the Geospatial Data Gateway by just starting on this big green button, Get Data. Now you have a couple of different options here. The larger the area your data covers, the harder it's going to be to download. So we're starting here by ordering by county, but you can actually choose a different method by going here, change your where option. You can order by state, by place, by bounding rectangle, if you know the latitude and longitude, or by interactive map. Let's do this by interactive map, just as an example. So we can zoom in on Montana, just come over to Butte, and we want to select an area. Press down and let go to finish to drag your area. So now we've picked the area, you can say accept that area. And this is what I really want you to see. I'm looking in Montana, but you have this data for just about every state. You're going to look at cadastral data. That's what we used last time. That's the public land information about ownership. Census data here. You can go back years and years and years through census data. Climate and precipitation data. PRISM data for the climate, temperature, environmental easements, elevation. We have looked at a couple of digital elevation models, DEMs. I've been giving you 30-meter DEMs, but you can download them as low as 10-meter, and if it's available, they will include the 3-meter DEMs in this list. It just doesn't happen to be available in the area I picked. Geographic names, geology, all kinds of information about government units, hydrography, hydrologic units. These are those watershed boundaries going from watershed to subwatershed to drainage. Land use and land cover. We used these data sets earlier on when we were looking at cropland and looking at different types of tree databases. Well, indices aren't going to tell you much unless you have the index they're referring to, but this gives you the index for all the different sizes and scales of the maps that are typically put out, from 1 to 12,000 all the way up to 1 to 250,000. Orthographic imagery, this is the NAPE imagery we've looked at, data on soils across the state or country, wherever, topographic maps, and transportation. I'm just going to pick something here. We'll say NRCS by state, and we'll do 30-meter DEMs. So I'm going to pick 10-meter instead, because this is going to be a much bigger data set. You can see what to do. So once we've got our data set and what we're interested in, just click continue. Select the format you want. By now, you can use a shapefile or a geodatabase, whichever you prefer. You can download in that format. So I'll just pick a geodatabase. The projection is going to be decided by whatever the data is listed in. You don't get to choose your projection, but you should know how to project it into the coordinate system you want it in now. So delivery, we're going to have to give them an email address. They're going to send you a link. Actually, let me go back and, oh, it looks like it lost my selection. So we're going to go back in and, oh, and there's LiDAR too in this one. Okay. Let me give it my email address so you can see. that link when it comes in. All right, so it's going to tell you what you've ordered. Make sure it's exactly what you're looking for here, and then just say place your order. It's going to tell you how long it takes. Larger orders are going to take a little bit longer. Sometimes I've seen it say up to 5 hours, but it usually comes within about 10-15 minutes. So we'll just place that order, and I'll give that a couple of minutes. It does delete after a few days, so you should go check that confirmation email they're sending you and get that downloaded before it disappears on you. So I'm going to open my tech email and see if I've gotten that link yet. You can see what they send. Nope, not yet. So let's go into the National Map Viewer here. This is put out by the USGS. And it's got a whole bunch of data in it, but it can be a little bit difficult to navigate. So let's zoom in on the Montana area. And again, you can do this anywhere you want. But this link up here, data download, allows you to pick your area and see what products are available, just like the Geospatial Data Gateway just did. Here, once we've zoomed in on what we're interested in, you can choose map indices, or you can choose use the map. You can draw a box. You can just zoom into the area you're interested in. If you know the coordinates, you can zoom into your coordinates, or you can draw a polygon. Whatever you want to do here, you can kind of pick the area. I'm just going to zoom in somewhere on Montana. We've got topographic maps. We've got all kinds of data listed over here, including the more elevation information, woodland tint, I mean, all kinds of stuff. And notice if you select these options, it'll give you the option, do you want the state or do you want the national? Do you want file geodatabase or do you want a shapefile? And a lot of times there's even more information listed under here. So let's look at hydrography. It's going to tell you which type of hydrography you want. Do you want the subbasin? Do you want the basin? Or do you want the drainage? So you can actually go through and select these and look at what different data is available on the National Map Viewer. Once you do that, say pick, I want region 2 HUC boundaries, find products. Oh. I clicked something wrong here, so I'm going to go back in and choose all subcategories. Let's say we want this HUC 2 regional map boundary and say find products. It looks like it's only going to give us a text or a CSV, which isn't very helpful in the map. So click on results and you'll see what you get here is the information that you need to download, all the different data sets that you selected, who they're from, all kinds of information is listed in here, including when the metadata was last updated for all of these boundaries and whatnot. So you can go in, you can go look at the info and metadata, you can download it, whatever you want to do. I'm going to say download here. It just downloads as a zip file right to your computer, so you can unzip that and go back and use it. All right, let's see, let's go back and see if we got that Geospatial Data Gateway yet. Yep, here we go. You'll get this email with a link, and in that link, it'll direct you to an FTP site you can download the information from. Basically what they're doing is taking the time to set this up and put the data where you can get it. But you can download it here, just come down to ordered items and see I ordered 2 different things. I ordered a LiDAR data set and a section lines for township range and section. So you can just click on that and it will download to your computer. Pretty easy. All right, let's see, let's get out of this. I don't really need to download those. Let's come back to Earth Explorer. Earth Explorer actually includes a lot of satellite data. So this is a great one for doing more in-depth information. There's a lot of data out there. If you're looking at things like Landsat, that sort of satellite data for download, this is a terrific website. You can also put it in a KML format if you're wanting to go back and forth with Google Earth. So let's see, look for a place. Let's go to Bozeman. So we've picked a location. It's given us a latitude and longitude. Let's look at the data sets. So scroll up to this tab, data sets. It tells you what all is available. And these are little plus signs. You expand that in there, you can see who took the pictures, what the pictures are of, and that sort of thing. So I don't know what half of this stuff means, AVHRR, CEO, legacy, but I do know digital elevation. There's a lot more digital elevation available here than what you're going to find in that geospatial data gateway. Landsat data, like I was saying, the satellite imagery, they've got all of the archived Landsat and even decommissioned satellite data is stored in here. You can pick this data up if you're looking at doing something with evapotranspiration or something to that effect. Landsat data is terrific. Vegetation monitoring, for any of you that are interested in doing something biological, this DRI, the Desert Research Institute, puts out a lot of really phenomenal data on climate and vegetation. So you can, let's just pick something. I'm going to go with something I'm familiar with and get some DEM data. So I'm just going to pick EDNA data here. Go in and take a look at that. If you scroll down to the bottom of this list, you'll see we're looking at additional criteria, results, clear all selected. Go into results here, and it'll show you what it's picked up for EDNA. It's got all these different data sets, and here it says show metadata for all these different data sets. But you have a couple of different options here. You can exclude this from your results, or you can download it. Well, this one looks like we're going to have to log in for, but I don't have a login, but a lot of this data you're not going to have to log in for. But this is where you want to grab it from, is your download options here. Oh, here I'm getting the message saying I actually got my Geospatial Data Gateway order. Okay. All right, so that's what I've got for Earth Explorer. Some of this stuff might mean more to you than it does to me, but honestly, as a geologist, I only use a certain amount of this type of stuff, but I know there are a lot of other fields explored here. I'm going to step out of Earth Explorer, and let's see what else. Okay, so the Montana GIS Portal, you're probably already familiar with. It comes through the state library. We have been going through a couple of different versions of this, but the data list is really my favorite. Just basic text search, anything you're looking for, but also on this page, I want you to note you have all this other information down the left side. You can bundle your data. The MSDI network is fantastic. It has great geodatabases for all kinds of information. If you select that, so you've got cadastral, climate, elevation, geographic names, geology, hydrology, all kinds of stuff, transportation, wetlands and riparian, soils, you name it. All this stuff is included from the sources and who to contact in Montana. Again, this is specific to Montana. I'm going to go back and take a look at aerial photography for Montana. We've got all kinds of information over the years for aerial photography. Where did that disappear to on me? Oh gosh, they've got all that listed under MSDI. Topographic maps, channel migration zones, if you're at all interested in surface water networks, this is a great one. Flathead Basin and Yellowstone River have specific areas that have been mapped. They'll also take you to the links to the NRIS national data set, where you can find all kinds of stuff. Oh, no, this one's specific to Montana. But if you follow these links, you'll get into a whole bunch of different data sets, and you can find all kinds of stuff in here. Now, the one link that is not listed on here that's great for global data, not just United States, is ESRI. Honestly, ESRI, the company that makes the software we're using. Just Google ESRI. Go into ESRI and see what you're looking for. Whatever, it's going to keep taking us to this COVID stuff. But for now, if you're looking for data sets, there's all kinds of stuff available. They have tremendous resources. If you just go in here, if you know specifically what you're looking for, you can go in and download all kinds of stuff. They have great blogs, tutorials, all kinds of stuff. ESRI or ESRI is really tremendous about not sending out data that has not been heavily vetted and very carefully picked over. They don't put out data that is not accurate or, well, really just safe to work with. You will, if you go to random data sources, end up picking up some data from time to time that hasn't been carefully vetted and may not be accurate, or may just be somebody like me sitting in an office creating something and it was perfect for their uses, but they made it public and it may not actually be accurate for what you're trying to use it for. You're not going to find that from any of these sources. These are all really reliable data sources, and any information that has been put out by these groups is going to be good data. So let's see, what else can I take you into? Oh, okay, because I know we have some engineers here. Let's do the board of oil and gas. They've got a nice data set for, you're going to find this a lot, this kind of FTP site directory. You're going to find this in a couple of different sites in these catalogs that I've sent you, especially Montana. Go in here and you're looking for just wells, where they exist. Click on that link and you're going to come in, you're going to get text documents, zip documents, PDF documents. It might say .gdb, which you should know by now means geodatabase. It might say .shp, which means shapefile. But you're going to go in and it's going to run you through these kind of directories for downloading different data. But you can always click on this and find this data. And again, reliable source. Anything that's put out by these guys has been carefully vetted. So here's a project. .prg means it's a project, and it's going to open up when you download this and take a look at it. It's going to open up like an entire arc map in your document. So it's going to give you everything you need to make that work. It's not a shapefile and it's not a geodatabase. It's an entire arc map project zipped up to be something that you can just open and use. So I'm not going to go through every one of these links because I think you guys can probably take that and run with it and find the data that you need. But I do want to point out a couple of other things. For those of you wanting to collect your own data, converting from latitude, longitude, or degrees, minutes, seconds is pretty key. You're going to have to operate in decimal degrees. So you can do the conversion yourself in an Excel spreadsheet, but you also have individual conversions here from the different types of data you may end up collecting. Degrees, minutes, seconds is a really common way to collect this data, but decimal degrees is the only way GIS is going to read it. So whatever you collect your data in, remember to put it in decimal degrees before you try and go do any of that XY conversion or turning it into a shapefile in GIS. So there's a link there for you. We're going to talk about using Model Builder later in the class, but I wanted to introduce it now because I've had a couple of people choose to do Model Builder as a final project in the past. They seem to really enjoy this. In fact, when I teach this, I'm going to teach it from one of my students' former final projects. And this video is really just an amazing tutorial that ESRI put out on how to use Model Builder in ArcMap. And honestly, if you're at all interested in Model Builder, this is a much better video than anything I'm going to give you. It's a little bit old, came out in 2011, but it is a tremendous resource for learning to use Model Builder. So if you're interested in doing this, I'm just going to talk you through what Model Builder is. Model Builder is a way of doing iterative processes in GIS, in ArcMap. Say I have a list of wells that I want to create a potentiometric surface for. Maybe I've got a monthly water level for 10 years, which means if I want to make a monthly potentiometric surface for 10 years, I've got to go through the same steps. Gosh, way too many times. Was that 240 times? I don't want to do that every single time. I have my data set and I know that the list of commands that I want to put together to make that happen. So I write a list of commands in Model Builder and I tell it every time where I want it to start from, and it spits out an end result for me at the conclusion of the model. And it does that same iterative process and runs through the same steps over and over and over again as many times as I want to put the data in the front end. So it saves an enormous amount of time for iterative processes. So let's see. I don't think I have a graphic of Model Builder on hand, but if you are at all interested in doing that, shoot me an email and let me know, or take a look at that. I think it's about a 60-minute video, but it is incredibly informative. Again, much better than anything I'm going to teach you later on, but we will talk through the basics of it. Take a look at some of these sites if you're interested in doing your own final project. This is a great place to start. If you can't find what you're looking for, shoot me an email. I might be able to find it for you. The other thing you can do is honestly just Google it. Just try and Google whatever state you're looking for and include the tag GIS data. You'd be surprised how much information is out there that's not necessarily attached to one of these state or federal sites. So I know this is kind of brief and it's not really anything for you guys to actually do today, but it's really important that you know where to find this data, especially if you're going to continue to work in GIS and in ArcMap or in really any GIS. Finding this data and being able to access it yourself is so important. I've pretty much given you everything at this point, but from now on, if I don't actually hand you the data, I'm probably going to have you search it out and download it yourself, because it's really important to be able to get that data yourself. So I guess with that, that's all I have for you today. Short class, I guess, because there's not much for me to teach you about this. This is really something you need to go do on your own. But these links will be in the email, and I hope everyone is doing well and staying safe. So good luck.